Why did God destroy the Tower of Babel? Genesis Mimot explained.
It will be finished.
What if I told you there was a moment in human history when every single person on earth spoke the exact same language? No confusion, no translation, no barriers, just one voice, one understanding, one shared reality. Imagine a world like that, where every idea spreads instantly, where every plan becomes possible, where nothing is lost in misunderstanding. That world once existed, and it changed everything. This is the story of the Tower of Babel, a story not just about a tower, but about ambition, unity, power, and the moment humanity crossed a line. After the Great Flood, when the waters receded and the earth began to breathe again, humanity started over. Families grew, tribes formed, people moved across the land searching for a place to belong, a place to build, a place to call their own, and as they journeyed eastward, they found it, a vast open plain in the land of Shinar, flat, rich, full of potential, a place where dreams could take shape. And for the first time since the flood, people didn't scatter. They didn't divide. They stayed together. They spoke the same language. They understood each other perfectly. And in that unity, something powerful was born. Because when people understand each other completely, they don't just survive. They create. They imagine, they build, and that is exactly what happened. Someone had an idea, and that idea spread like fire. They said, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They replaced stone with brick and mortar, with bitumen. They adapted, they innovated, they improved, and then came the bigger idea, the one that would change everything. Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top reaches to the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves. Otherwise we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth. Think about that for a moment. This was not just construction. This was identity. This was legacy. This was humanity saying we will define who we are. We will not be forgotten. We will rise, not just physically but symbolically. The tower was not just about height. It was about control, about unity, about power, about reaching beyond limits. They feared being scattered. They feared losing their unity. So they built something that would anchor them, something that would keep them together, something that would declare to the world and to heaven itself, "We are here." And brick by brick, the tower began to rise. Workers labored day and night. Fires burned constantly to harden the bricks. Structures formed, levels stacked upon levels. The city expanded around it, and at the center stood the tower, growing taller, reaching higher, dominating the skyline, a symbol of human ambition, a monument to unity, a declaration of independence from limitation. And as it grew, so did their confidence, so did their belief that nothing was impossible. But then something happened, something unexpected. Something that changed the course of history forever. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building, not because he didn't know, but because what was happening required attention. This was not just construction. This was a moment of transformation, and what he saw was not just a tower. He saw the heart behind it. He saw a unified humanity with a single language, a single vision, a single ambition. And he said, "Look, they are one people, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. Now nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them." That sentence alone holds incredible weight. Nothing they plan will be impossible. Not because of strength, not because of numbers, but because of unity, because of shared understanding, because when people are aligned completely, they become unstoppable. And that level of power, without the right foundation, can lead to something dangerous. Not just physical power, but the power to redefine purpose, to shift identity, to replace dependence on God with dependence on self. So the decision was made, not to destroy them, not to wipe them out, but to intervene in a way that would change everything without violence. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. And in that moment, the most powerful tool humanity had was taken away. Not their strength, not their intelligence, not their resources, but their ability to understand one another. Imagine waking up one day and hearing the person next to you speak, but you cannot understand a single word. Imagine giving instructions and no one follows, not because they refuse, but because they don't comprehend. Imagine trying to build something massive when communication collapses. Confusion spreads instantly, frustration grows, unity breaks, and just like that, the greatest project humanity had ever started came to a halt. The tower was not destroyed, it was abandoned, left unfinished, a silent witness to what once was. The workers left. Groups formed based on what little understanding remained. People gathered with those they could still communicate with. And slowly, inevitably, they scattered across the earth, fulfilling the very thing they tried to prevent: different languages, different cultures, different identities, different paths. And the place was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world, and from there he scattered them over the face of the entire earth. But this story is not just about the past, it is about us, because in many ways, we are building again. Cities that touch the sky, technology that connects the world, systems that allow us to communicate across continents instantly. We are closer than ever to being one global voice again. And just like then, we are driven by ambition, by the desire to create, to innovate, to rise, to make a name for ourselves. So the real question is not what happened back then, but what does it mean now? Was the tower itself wrong, or was it the intention behind it? Was it about reaching heaven, or replacing God? Was it about unity, or control? Because unity is powerful, but without humility, it becomes dangerous. Ambition is necessary, but without purpose, it becomes destructive. The Tower of Babel reminds us that the greatest strength humanity has is also its greatest risk. The ability to come together, to think as one, to act as one, to build beyond imagination, but also the ability to forget why we build, to forget who we depend on, to forget the limits that define our humanity, and maybe, just maybe, the confusion of language was not just a punishment, but a protection, a way to slow humanity down, to diversify, to explore different paths, to prevent a single unified force from moving in the wrong direction without resistance. Because sometimes division is not the end, but a redirection. Today, we live in a world shaped by that moment. Thousands of languages, countless cultures, endless diversity. And yet we are still searching for unity, still trying to build something greater than ourselves, still reaching higher, still asking the same question: how far can we go? But perhaps the better question is not how high we can build, but why we build at all. Because in the end, the Tower of Babel is not just a story about a tower, it is a mirror, reflecting the heart of humanity, our desires, our fears, our ambitions, and our need for something greater than ourselves. And if this story teaches us anything, it is this: unity without humility leads to confusion. Ambition without purpose leads to collapse, and the greatest achievements mean nothing if they are built on the wrong foundation. Because sometimes, the most important thing is not reaching the heavens, but understanding where we truly stand.